Who was the culprit?
Isn't like Jack a shortened for John, and they're the same amount of letters?
Jack is what?
I think like John F. Kennedy is Jack Kennedy, right?
Is it?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
pretty sure.
That's terrible then.
I'm pretty sure it's like Jack is a shortened for John, which makes
People are just making shit up. Since, like, it's only 'cause he was the president. If anybody, it was a regular guy telling you "fuck you."
and this isn't to like say fuck you to anybody that we're naming, like this,
No.
like our interest, but like there's been people like named Anthony, right? So like who was the first person who was like fuck that H, Anthony,
Antoine,
Antony,
Antony,
Antoine Jameson.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying fuck you to these people. I'm just saying, you can say whatever your name, but that's like saying, my name's Daniel, but they call me Jeff Word.
What?
It's the same shit.
Oh, you mean like going from Richard to Dick?
Or Jack to John.
Yeah.
Those don't even relate. Call me Jeffrey.
Because like John sounds like a shorten for like Jonathan. But like whenever you're shortening John, it's like why? Why are we shortening John? And then why are we not even shortening it? We're shortening it to the same amount of letters and syllables.
My favorite thing about the name John. This is just going off on a tangent here, but the spelling was Jawn. Like, we're in this John. We're in this John. But I'm sure their parents, I mean, he's white, so his parents definitely, like, you know, he's like 1920. So his parents were naming him that way before. I'm sure people were really catching on to.
Who's this?
It's not important. I'm not going to put him on blast. It's just the fact that is real.
Okay, yeah. No, you said his
It's
parents
John.
were born in the 1920s.
It's John, that's who
I
it
was
is.
like one of your former teachers or something?
No, I'm
Like,
saying I'm saying he's 1920. So like
Oh, he's
1920.
19 or 20.
20,
Okay, I thought you
not
I thought you
1920.
said something about like
He's
him
not-
or his parents being from like 1920. I was like, oh, so this is like an older man. Okay.
No.
So who are we talking about here? Is this like a writer that you've heard of? Or
Either
like,
way, the point would still stand, but no. You're like, how
but
do you
it
know this
still
guy?
exists.
Yeah, it's the guy that I visit daily that no one knows about. I visit him over off of 13th and
Avenue?
Broadway.
Hell yeah.
It's like the old man on that
What if there is a person off 13th and Broadway
On the
named
park
John,
on-
spelled Jawn?
sits on the park bench every day.
Hell yeah.
It's like on Bravest Warriors where it's like where did the people go when they die? He's like, oh, they get on a bus on 12th Street, like to just like tell the little animal, their pet, basically trying to like let them know that, you know, like nothing bad happens to dead people, like just trying to comfort them. And then you come to find out there's a bus that comes on 13th Street that picks up dead people and takes them away. You're like, oh shit. Like the little pet goes and waits for the bus. Like, oh, it's like what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I wanted to see where dead people go. It was just funny. I don't know. It's a little thing. Yeah, so welcome to Find Danny, recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Of 0 people, but hey, it is live and it is a studio.
It is studio.
There's seats for an audience, but
It's no audience.
Casper's in his bitch.
Hey, how about this? Food for thought. Anyone out there who wants to come and sit in and watch it, then all we need is one, technically, for it to be a live studio audience.
That is true.
Then we could say that. We do have seats.
You have seats.
And then we could always pan to the audience.
I mean, I don't know about all that.
And if we have one fan in the audience, you'll get credit. Like, you're a superstar. Think about it. When we blow, you're the one fan who's been there along the way.
We've actually done live podcasts before. I'm definitely interested in doing it.
Now, we can do that. Like, throw on Twitter. I just saw there was this thing on Twitter recently. I got an update for. It was some guy that I had never heard of before, but apparently he has some kind of notoriety because he did an interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it was like a podcast type of thing where he was the host, and it was just straight audio. But you know where they do the fleets?
Mm-hmm.
You click on that, and it's just straight audio, and it says interviewer, interviewee, and then it has like all the people in there, and it says listeners. I was like, how the fuck did they manage this? Because I tried to figure out how I could do that, and it didn't. I guess you got to be someone
You
special.
probably got to do it on computer.
You think so? There's got to be a way you could set it up.
Maybe
Because
not
they
on
didn't
your
give me
phone.
an
Maybe
option.
not on mobile.
Or is it where Twitter has to like agree? They're like, because it was like they gave you a notification for it.
No, right.
You
I'm
know?
saying like maybe you don't have the option because do it on your phone, and maybe there's like the only way to do it is to post it from your computer. Because like I think Twitter has like more options and availability on the computer. Am I wrong?
No, I think there might be a couple, but I also think they were in partnership. 'Cause like I said, it's like it was like literally like Twitter
Like Twitter
notification. It
sponsored
was like this
almost.
person is doing
Like
an
Twitter
interview.
sponsored the interview almost.
Yes. Which I mean,
Or
because they
saw.
know people are gonna watch it. It's gonna bring people on Twitter. It's Neil
Yeah.
deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson's gonna bring anyone anywhere. Like it's not. He might not bring the most, but he's gonna bring people to on Twitter,
Right.
which is gonna bring views and the advertisement, like people looking at shit that
No, yeah, but wait,
Twitter
what were
want.
you saying about this guy that was interviewing?
I had no idea who
Okay.
it was.
Okay.
But I was just saying, like, that would be something cool to do, like a live thing like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you're doing an interview, but it's posted up, like where the fleets are, so it shows like that you're recording.
Yeah, I feel that, but I feel like that's almost like limited to be able to do like clips. But like if you're
No,
doing
you
the full thing, I feel like you're not gonna get like
as
people
many.
aren't gonna sit there in that fucking fleet for 45 minutes. I mean, they might. Some people might, but I feel like it's more like, oh shit, what is this? You know?
That's what I did.
Exactly.
That's
So
exactly
that's
what
what
I.
I'm saying. So like, I mean, people's attention spans are so short. I feel like that's a good way to get the interview out. Like, hey, if you liked any part of this, like 10 seconds that you listened to, like, hey, you should go check it out. Here's the link for it. Maybe it's a good advertising
Yeah, a little bit. Like,
plan
I
to
see what
get
you
it
mean. Like, you
to
could do a
get it
little
out
clip,
there. Yeah.
a clip of the interview.
Right.
So
What
to
I'm
speak.
saying is like if you just post a clip, it's the same thing. Not the same thing, but it is like similar because like at that point, somebody who doesn't have time to look at that right now can be like, "Oh shit, here's a link. I'll go check that out later." You know. But like that's a good marketing tactic, in my opinion. But if you are just posting it on there for people to listen on there, and there's not like a YouTube link or a fucking Spotify, like if it's just audio, like you said, then I feel like people are just gonna, like you did, just swipe on, be like, "Oh shit, this is kind of long. Seems interesting."
I got shit to do. I'm not gonna stick around for this whole thing.
Right, but if there's like a button where you can like go see it later, then that's probably a good like marketing tactic.
I found out there's so much more shit I didn't know about though. Like for things like we do here.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, I posted the recent clip we just did right for the podcast we just released a couple days ago, and my grandma of all people started a watch party for the clip, and I was like, "You can do that?" I was like, "How does she know that you can do that?" Like.
That's
Low
kind
key,
of
my
crazy.
grandma be keeping up with random shit. Like I'm
That's
like,
kinda
how?
lit.
I'm like, how do you know? She's like
Like
70.
on Facebook, you said
What?
the Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she did a watch party, and it's funny 'cause like I know for a fact all of her relatives who are maybe just a little bit young. Like I said, she's in her 70s, so her relatives are like at the youngest maybe like 55. Like her youngest relative maybe, 'cause she's like I'd say like in the middle somewhere, like close second oldest actually I believe. So, but like it's just like the people that are gonna see most of her stuff, I'm like, I appreciate the support. Maybe one day they'll watch. They are not gonna. This is not for them. Like they are not gonna be the ones to want to watch this. Maybe they will. And if you are watching, I didn't mean to. Not, also,
How dare you tell me what I'm gonna watch and what I'm not gonna watch? You fucking little prick.
now they're watching it. But also, real quick, shout out Grandma. Thank you for being.
Hell yeah.
You're a real one. If you're watching this right now, I love you. Yeah, no,
Go for it.
I wanted to say this. You know what's really crazy?
A lot of things.
Yeah, okay. But besides that, but also that.
Besides a lot of things.
Also a lot of things, but a little of things.
All right, that was a good one. I like it.
You're welcome. So I was thinking, in my head, I have a lot of weird, crazy thoughts.
Hmm.
Like I'm like, damn, that's I shouldn't share that with anybody, you know. So then I'm thinking, there's some weirdos out there. So I'm like, what's going on in your head?
Right.
Like, well, I wonder what all the shit they're not saying. Like, 'cause they already say a lot. Like, what's going on in there? I want to know.
See, but maybe like there's not that much going. Well, there probably is, but I'm not. Have like messy, but I think they're weird because they're already expressing. There's not a whole lot that they're suppressing. Might not be those wild thoughts that share that. they might be like, I'm sharing that shit. Fuck you. Like, and if you think that's weird, then maybe that's just because they're expressing those wild shits that goes on.
See, and I think about that too. But where I'm at is I'm one of those people who talks a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd also say I say a lot of weird shit.
See,
But there's still like,
see, what I'm saying is that like the people that like I would be more worried about like the weird shit going on in their head is the people that don't express themselves at all. The people that like just kind of go through life without like sharing their opinions, expressions, values, morals with anybody, just kind of going like their way type shit, like loners and fucking like, that don't necessarily have like a friend. Like it's not just a friend group, like a what's it called, like a body to lean support system. That's what it is.
There we go.
Somebody that don't have a support system might be in a position of like, damn, I don't know if I can express anything that I like feel like to anybody type shit. That's the person I'm worried about. And I feel like that shit's explode at one point. Don't like get tired of it and cause harm to anybody or your.
And it's just like with that being said, it's crazy because like in our minds we have all these thoughts, right? And of course, there's things telling us not to act on some of those thoughts.
Right.
But taking it even a step further, you have this structure that society creates for you. You know, these rules. You can't do this. You can't do that. Or they try to box you in because they tell you something's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of different things where I'm kind of stuck in between a point where I am like I probably shouldn't do that, but then also fuck it. I don't know if you saw the video recently. It's like these people in Brazil dress up as like these dolls or weird looking characters.
Mm-hmm.
And they run around the city dancing and like doing flips.
I haven't seen
weird shit. I wish
live.
I had a third party right here who could bring up the clip, but we don't. It's just the both of us. So
Shout out to anybody who'd like to be an audio visual engineer on this
Please,
podcast to be able to help us out with that right there.
That
But
would-
I mean, honestly, like that's a lot of work. So I mean,
but
but
you should. You should.
anybody who's wants experience and would love to work for free, I'm down. DM us.
Or
Yeah.
just for the love of the game. I'm not saying work. You
I'm
would
saying work for free.
for now,
That's
yeah.
exactly what it is.
But yeah, for
like it's not necessarily like work if you have like I guess fun. But I
Or if
mean,
you-
like at the same time, it's like we not getting paid. You know what I mean? Like nobody's paying us to do this, and we have fun with it. And I'm not necessarily saying like we need it. You know what I mean? It would just be awesome if we had that because I feel like it would add a different level to it.
add more depth to it.
Not even just depth, but like for sure, like production value.
Oh, absolutely. So if anyone would like to do that, please.
And that's our shameless
Plug.
shameless ask
Just
for
gonna
the
plug-
day.
Just gonna plug it in there. But
But-
no, it's all these weird. It went viral, right? A bunch of people were liking it and loving it. I guarantee you see that on the street. You're like, what is that?
Mhm.
That is a little weird.
Wild.
Yeah, but it was hilarious. It was great though. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny.
I mean, like I'd say that shit is like more welcome than some of the wild shit that's going on in America.
Right? It's like at least I get some entertainment out of this.
Real
you know
shit.
What I mean?
It's like
It's
I'd rather see that running down my street than fucking some of these cities that got like cop cars running down their street trying to make sure they're still like in their houses and locked down and shit like that.
Yeah, that's probably
That's stupid.
that's
like,
definitely way worse.
Oh, I go outside of my house, I get arrested for reckless this or that or whatever you want to call it, Mr. Officer.
Mhm.
Rather go outside and see people dancing around in the fucking weird shit on. Like, all right, that's fucking weird, but like, hell yeah, go for
Man,
it.
I wish I saw more of that. Just like in general, like that personally is what got me into to raving in the first place. Is just as you look at it, you're
They're having fun.
like that's weird, like not in a bad way, but like,
Right.
that's interesting. But I like it. I can fuck with it. You know, it's like we're having fun, just
Right.
doing you. What's it called? Letting your freak flag fly. You gave me a weird look. I was like,
I was
that's
like,
what it said. Yeah, just letting your freak flag fly.
all right.
It's interesting because we have the ability to do whatever we want as human beings. We can create whatever we want to create. You could do anything. Best example, Filthy Frank dude got big off of doing the weirdest shit. It's Joji now.
Yeah.
It's Joji. That man was throwing up in a cake and eating it. I don't know if you ever watched him.
I didn't watch
Yeah, no, he.
a lot of shit. Are you seeing this? I'm like, fuck no. Why did you watch that?
He was part of the forefront of YouTube. He
I'm not
was
saying
huge.
he wasn't, and I'm not saying that wasn't comedy gold for that era or whatever you say. What I'm is when you tell me like exactly what person you are today.
No, so just to give a visual, like a visual on what Filthy Frank was. There was a point where he would dress up in a pink, what are they called?
I don't know what those things.
The suit,
the
morph
like
suits.
Morph suits.
Morph suits. He would dress up in a pink morph suit, went by the alias Pink Guy. He'd go around and like really weird. Like he would be waiting in the elevator, just like doing weird movements, or he'd be like, "Give me the pussy, boss." And it's weird. Like it was. Trust me, it was hands down probably some of the weirdest shit. Man got cancer. It was tough. He powered through. He got through it. Said, "Fuck it, I'm following my music career." Shut down Pink Guy and all that. He put it to rest, and now he is a professional singer. And most people don't even know who Pink Guy and or Filthy Frank is.
Did you say that most people knowledge for art?
I mean, a lot of people who got into Joji is just Joji, because you gotta think there's a younger generation, that's
Right,
listening
but
to
I'm
Joji.
saying like I would also say that a lot of people don't know who Pink Guy or Filthy Frank is.
I mean, a lot
That's
of people
probably not
do, but I would say majority of the people who actually listen to Joji,
probably know who he is or what.
maybe.
Probably. I mean, there's probably that one in every like 10 listeners who's like, "Hey, shit, this song's pretty cool." Artist is. I don't give a shit where he's from or what he is or what he used to do. Fuck it. But everybody else that listen to that shit is. I kind of like this song. What else is got? Who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? Like type shit. Most people like his music would probably do. If you're not a fan of his music, but like if you're a fan of Kid Cudi's music, you know his first name is Scott.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? Like
It's pretty dope too, 'cause Joji definitely put like a lot of his weird shit into his music videos of his like musical art. So you still kind of see that aspect there, but I mean it's not nearly
right.
as risque as his older like his older stuff would probably not
Probably
make it in
wouldn't.
today's.
It probably wouldn't carry over.
Yeah, it wouldn't make it in today's
I think
world.
he probably found his like in today's world, he'd be more on like TikTok and shit if he was coming out with stuff like that. But like even I don't even heights it at that point.
I don't think it translate. It wouldn't translate too good. People are on a different wave now. See, personally, I like risky stuff. I like edgy things. I like people who are pushing, boundaries.
Right.
'Cause like creation in itself, like I said, we have the crazy. Like our minds can come up with some weird shit. Like if you really think about it, when you think of people who created cults, or people like religions, whatever you want to call it, it's cult. This is probably the best word. Religion is a cult. But anyways,
Different podcast.
hey,
No, I'm
but
kidding.
no, but where I'm at is people said this is what it is. A bunch of people just said yes and just followed along, and now we have a world that we have now. People created rules and shit based off of prehistoric beliefs, and here we are.
I still remember like somebody telling me like whenever I was kind of questioning, do you really think like religion could be like all about control? Because like think about how many people there are that follow it. You know what I mean? Like are all of those people just brainwashed type shit? And I'm just like, I mean, look at how many people think that we're free in America.
I mean, we're free to an extent.
To an extent, right? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like there's so many things that we think that we're doing, but we're really brainwashed, and most of the shit that we have set before us is being controlled by the 1% in certain areas, and mostly the areas that matter: the education system, fucking poverty level, the homelessness in America.
Resources.
Like you might be free, but think about people that are homeless in America. What kind of freedoms do they have?
It's harder for them to like you could say just get a job. It's harder at that point when you have nothing.
You don't have a shower, you don't have no clothes, you don't have a set like
Social security
you don't have
card.
nothing type shit. It's like like Am I still free? I'm in America, right? You know what I mean? So it's like it's a kind of it's a perception thing. But at the same time, like I feel like people are less grateful for that than they know type shit. I mean, like we don't like every day we wake up in our beds that we pay rent for at our house type shit, but it's like we blessed, you know what I mean, to have a job to be able to pay rent with the unemployment rate at its like the level that it's at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lucky to have a home over our heads. We lucky to have support system. Things that if we slack off, if we like fuck it, fuck today, bro. Like I don't want to do this shit. We got people in our life that are like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? You fucking up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like not everybody has that. Not everybody grateful to have that. You know what I mean?
And where I'm at is to say, yeah, are we all just brainwashed? A lot of what we go off of is like outdated. It's so outdated. Like most of the way that we still act is traced back to like decades, if not
Yeah.
centuries ago. You know what I mean? Like way back to like medieval times. We're still basically working off some of those like belief systems and rules and stuff. Like, bro, we gotta change up sometimes. Like that may be, but things change. You know, things
Right.
are not what they used to be. So it's like if you want to believe that, like, oh, we're not like, do you think people are brainwashed? Absolutely. If we're still going off of shit that was made however many years ago, let's start brainstorming here. Let's start formulating our own
Right.
opinions. Let's like, we're still basing shit off of something some guy said however long ago.
Right. And it's like it's kind of like whenever it comes to like literature, it's like what's the new shit? You know what I mean? Like we going off of fucking Bibles that are how old? We going off of declarations of whatever you want it to be at this point. We're going off of a Bill of Rights. Like when was this shit written? You know what I mean? Where's the literature for today? I mean, like what is going on in today? We got a COVID relief bill. That's the literature we got. You know what I mean? Like what and like it joke the way that we operate. I mean, we're the most powerful country in the world, right? But like, operate like
Man,
most of our own.
most yeah, most it depends on who you are and what you have.
What your last name is?
Yeah, right. But like you said, it's like where is the literature up today? Like what's the new generation creating? You know what I mean?
Right,
It's like we're already way past that. I don't care about Emily Dickens, fucking Edgar Allan Poe.
right,
That's old news. I get it. Like that was maybe like you need to know your history, but it's like there's a point. It's like what's happening now? Give me something fresh. Like you
right.
also need to know like correlate that into today's world. Like let me figure some shit out. Like let's let's get with it. And that's kind of where I have to say it's like where you're saying like artwork and shit. Is it just all going to like ones and zeros? Like is it gonna be like videos? What we're doing now, like audio shit, NFTs, like crypto. Is that gonna be like? It's kind of weird to say. Like, is that gonna be our new
Art, and then
like poetry type shit, like literature?
It's sad to say that like that's exactly what literature of the future, audio book, and it's like I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. What I'm saying is setting ourselves up failure, in my opinion, in the way that I've talked to you about. Like that doesn't all it take for and I've like kind of like stolen this thought process. 'Cause not stolen it, but adhered it since I've heard of it. But it's like if everything shut down and the top smartest people in the world died today, would we know how to turn the internet back on? Would anybody know how to turn the internet back on? Does anyone know how any of this shit works? If all the people that are running this shit and like set the shit up, if they all die and this shit shuts off, we ever gonna turn it back on? You know what I mean? And it's like we probably will. We probably could figure it out down the line. But at the end of the day, if we don't know what the fuck is going on right now, like we gotta understand that. And we gotta understand like the level of like what we're setting ourselves up for. So if that was to happen and all the literature that we had for the last 30 years was all set up in audiobooks and nothing was written down, all it takes is for this like system to get shut off and you to have no access to that book for it to never have been written. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like
In the same way that like if you spend however many X cryptocurrency coins on this NFT or a piece of virtual art, if the internet system goes down, are you ever going to be able to have access to what you just bought? Never,
fair
right?
point. It's kind of like
It's like that's what it's going to get to is like if there's no like physical art that's being made anymore, it all just goes into digital and like cryptos and things like that. It's like, what are we gonna be left with if that does come to the point?
I think one of the biggest things though with that for me is like I get where you're coming from, and to relate it to something is whenever they burned down the Greek libraries. It's like kind of set us back.
Exactly like that.
We had to restart. I mean, but you understand how to write literature, but you're losing a lot regardless. Like you're
Mhm.
losing a lot of valuable information, like years of valuable information. You're losing part of probably your livelihood at a point, especially
Right.
all the people who dedicated their lives to that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like those libraries, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like tons of information that we lost. It'd be essentially, like in our era now, it'd be like the same thing essentially.
And see,
if
like,
that would
what
happen.
I'm a little bit more afraid of is that, like, say it doesn't get shut down, but the way that they start doing it is like all the education is digital. You know what I mean? But it's regulated in a way that you only get a certain amount of this if when you pay this. So the people that get the best education are the people that spend the most money, right?
Privatized
That's
information.
kind of how it already is when it comes to college. But what about when it comes to like kids? You know what I mean? Like teaching these children the information that they need to know in the education system, the public school system, things like that. It's like if you gotta like pay to play, then we're already setting our fellow Americans up for failure.
Yeah, I mean, like we're kind of almost reverting back to how it used to be.
Exactly.
Anyways, is where the rich people had the knowledge and all the poor people. I mean, it's
What
almost reverting back in a sense.
and what I'm saying is that like we're all kind of like going along with it. Like, oh yeah, that sounds right.
Like privatizing
You know what I mean?
education is kind of, we've talked about this before. But what I like also the main point I was saying is like when it comes to like cryptocurrency, NFTs, what's crazy is like in that same realm of like we can create whatever we want, right? We like literally someone could say one thing, if you get enough people to believe in it, that's going to become some sort of truth. Whether or not it's true, you get enough people to believe it, at some point that kind of becomes true.
Right.
Especially when you have people rewriting books and shit and like rewriting history. That's facts now.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Enough people believed it and enough people said it. Like you said, it's like, well, are there all these people brainwashed? Possibly, probably.
That's what I was trying
You
to
get
say.
enough
is that
people to believe it, it's true.
I'm not saying they're brainwashed, but I'm saying that there's more people brainwashed on other things, so it's not so hard to believe that that could be the case too.
Exactly. So you get enough people to go along with something. That's what's crazy about the world and just like leadership, anything. You get enough people to believe it, you're creating a whole new reality. You know what I mean?
You got that with today's like Trump supporters. Like, bro, man got voted out and you fucking stormed the Capitol because you weren't happy with it. Like, that is not your prerogative. That is not allowed in this country. Like, we vote. We have a democracy system. We voted in a different person. Not. I don't care who, like if you don't like it, type shit. Like the numbers speak for themselves. You
Exactly.
could say the fake votes here, fake votes there, but that's just because this person who lost is telling you as because they're fucking hurt type shit. Nah, it's gotta be fake votes here. It's gotta be fake votes there. It's gotta be this or that. It's gotta be miscounts and this. It's like he's tweeting this, but you as a supporter is like it's gotta be true.
Come on.
But like he like what from a human position, if you losing a fucking candidacy race of a fucking school council, you know what I mean? Like you still gonna be like, fuck, there's no way this happened type. Nobody wants
Recount.
to. There's nobody wants to lose, but in that case, if you voted for that person in the student council, if they lose, you can't storm the fucking stage and be like, "This is fucking bullshit." You know what I mean? Like that's not allowed. You can't just do that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And this is gonna be a little bit of tangent, but I'm gonna tie it in here. So, when you think of crypto and NFTs, right? It has no value, really. Like, truthfully, it's all digital shit.
It has
And
as much value as you give it.
exactly.
Right.
It's like everyone's, and that's what's so crazy to me is like when I first found out about NFTs, which was like maybe 2-3 months ago, right? So like I was like digging deeper. I was like, you remember telling me, I was like, this shit's crazy how far this could go. It has so much potential. But the thing about it is it only has as much potential as we give it, right? And then fast forwarding to now, it blew up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everyone's talking about it. It's this craze. Like, oh, it gives these artists, the capability of making money or whatever. But in a way, it's not good. It's killing a sort of art form. But what I'm saying is
Right.
it gives a bunch of, like, it's only as much value as we give it. And people, the more people are like, oh, this is the shit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I
Right.
want to get into it. And there's people just hopping on because they see other people hopping on. And now you have something that was nothing and we just made it into something.
Right.
Out of what though?
And so what I'm saying is like it's beautiful in a way that NFTs are opening up like a availability for artists to monetize their product, but it's sad to see like the free form expression like kind of I guess like neglected because now people are like, "Oh, I can make money off of this. I'm in it for." You know what I mean? Like how can I make more money instead of is this like a legendary piece of art? You know what I mean? Like people are on like quantity over quality factor because they know now that they can make money doing something they love, and that's not horrible. Don't get me wrong. Like all the power to you, make all the money you can doing what you love. But let's understand that what we're doing is if we're purely doing this for monetization, then we're not worried about like consistent quality of the product.
I think that'll separate like the real artists in a sense. Also,
You
it's
say
good and
that,
bad.
but you say that, but with the capitalistic culture, that's not true.
I mean, yeah, but what I'm saying
Because
is,
there's companies that don't sell the best product, but are more known and more bought and do this because they don't give a fuck about their product. They just give a fuck about you buying it. Pure example, McDonald's.
very
Is that
true.
the best burger on earth?
Not
Is
necessarily.
it the most bought burger on earth?
No.
Probably.
But I mean, I'll give it to you this way. I'll give you a counter example here. It's like when you think of comedy, you think of probably like big names that come. Kevin Hart, probably one of the
Right.
biggest, right? If not the biggest, like sales wise
Right.
comedian. If we're talking here,
Yeah.
most mainstream comedian. Let's say Kevin Hart, right? Is he the best comedian? I would have to disagree. I think majority of anyone who is actually into stand up comedy would have to disagree. No shade at Kevin Hart. He's good. He's great as Caft, and he does it in a way that kind of panders to a wider audience. But to say he's like really the best, like if you were to say, you'd probably put Dave Chappelle in like the best,
I
right?
ain't gonna say I'm not gonna cap because like this is what it comes down to. It's like you could say that Kevin Hart's got the most notoriety and the most numbers and the most sales. It's like what else do you want? Are you saying like his content isn't as funny as other people's content because there's like I said numbers that are gonna disagree with you. There's like that's your opinion of who's the best comedian of all time, right? But like if he's selling more than Dave Chappelle, then that many more people think he's better. In a way, you know what I mean?
Or is just he panders to the people that are actually going to buy the tickets?
But if that's what matters, right? If his content is the same, every time he goes up on stage, if it's his like act type shit, it's like I don't control who buys tickets. I just sell them.
Yeah, but that's kind of going back to what I feel like what you were saying just a second ago. Is like the sales don't necessarily matter. Like you were saying, like there's
But
like
see,
McDonald's isn't the best burger.
I would
Sales
say that that's
maybe
the difference because
say
in
otherwise.
the way that Kevin Hart sells his tickets because all the years of shit that he's put into his craft. He worried about his quality so much that now he's able to sell it at the high value that it is.
Yeah.
So therefore, to say that he's not one of like probably Kevin Hart is probably top 3 comedian of all time. Not because I like his comedy that much, but because there's probably that much more comedy we haven't seen. To get him to the level of having 6 or 7 Netflix specials, to having tours of arenas and fucking stadiums and shit like that. For him to be on that level means that he did the work.
Yeah.
Same shit with Dave. Dave's just a different personality. Dave has gone through so much shit with the production side of comedy, with the business side of comedy. He's like, fuck y'all. I'm gonna go do me.
I'll give you one though. I feel like no, you couldn't even deny this. This is a person I'd say most comedians would even you're putting in Mount Rushmore of comedy. I don't care who you are. If you're in the stand-up comedy, you're probably putting him up there. And you could say you don't even like his comedy, but just the fact of like how he was as a comedian, you're gonna put him up there. Patrice O'Neal. Come on now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how known was he really though? Like on the scale of a wider audience.
He was very well known because of this. Because of this is what I'm saying. Is like so that goes back to another thing I've told you about in the past is that like your notoriety is almost limited to your location in certain ways. In a certain sense, I'm trying to say like Patrice O'Neal may have not gotten the notoriety he deserves in Texas. But if you ask anybody in New York, their top 5 comedians all time, he's on the list because he was on fucking O&A show. He was out there doing fucking shows in New York in the streets type shit. Like that was his like comedy like town type shit. Not his town, but like that's where he was at. Like that's where he was located. And so what I'm trying to say is like Kendrick Lamar has notoriety all over the country. But there's no way people are going as hard for Kendrick in Oklahoma as they are in Compton. You know what I mean? So in Oklahoma, there's probably a bunch of people talking about like Kendrick's like probably top 5. There's people in Compton talking about Kendrick is number 1, if not Tupac. You know what I mean? Like,
Of
and that
course, yeah.
that's it for them. Like, you know, and I'm not like putting words in nobody's mouth, but I'm just talking about like your location goes with your note. So like in Texas, we might not recognize Patrice O'Neal as one of the top Rushmore comedians. We weren't like recognized to his everyday comedic style. You know what I mean? But him in New York is probably different.
My point is though, regardless, is like the sales you're gonna have those people selling and like that are gonna sell a lot.
I just think
regardless.
comedy is a bad analogy because the people that you know of in comedy did the work to get to that notoriety.
Okay, I get it. In NFTs,
I
you
mean?
don't necessarily have to.
You don't
But
have
a lot
to.
of that, I mean, some you could just sell a piece of shit art piece for a ton of money. But there, like some of those art pieces are like,
Right.
man, you could tell like it's like that's some quality work in there. And
Right.
those are gonna sell more regardless.
Right.
Well,
And
not
so
always though.
in the same way that you got people painting pictures every day, right? But Da Vinci shit is still worth more. Why? Because it was either better, because it holds more value because of the name. Like, what is it? At the end of the day, like, if you know what he painted, you should be able to paint. Like, not you should be, but like you should be able to do something outside the box from your expression. But why is his shit more valuable?
It kind of always goes to like I always use it. I've used it so many times, but it's always such a good one because it's like it's such a crazy story. It's like Basquiat. That's
Yeah.
always just a crazy story because it's like his name was so big,
Mm-hmm.
but like no one knew who he was.
That's such a crazy
his
story.
name
too.
was his name was the product in itself. Like his art, like artists valued him. You know what I mean? They like
right.
other artists that were like creating during that time were like, man, I love this. This is beautiful.
What was
like
the story? Like somebody stole a painting of his and he
Oh,
found it on the he found it like somebody with it on the street or something.
and like he was like, let me sign
He's
it.
like, let me sign that. That's me, and it'll be worth more with
And
my
they thought he
signature
was
on
like
it.
defacing it, like fucking it
Right.
up, and they beat the shit out of him on
Beat
the
shit
street.
out of him. Right?
But like he was making it worth more.
He was trying to help them and give them more value, but they were like, "Who the fuck are you, motherfucker?" The type shit. You don't touch my
But
fucking painting.
it's just like, was it the art or the name at that point?
exactly.
You know, it's crazy because it's like he was his as artists, people knew what he was worth. You know what I mean? But other people was just like at some point, like I know this is gonna be money because it's his
Right.
artwork, rather than it being like, why is this actually worth anything?
Right. And so that goes back to like us talking about like value. You know, it doesn't really like it doesn't necessarily matter what the product is if somebody out there holds value with it. You know what I mean? So like that's why it's gonna get to a point where people are just putting shit out because they feel like somebody will like it. There's fucking 7 billion people on Earth. Somebody will like this shit. You know what I mean? Somebody will find value in it, and they'll just keep putting shit out. You know what I mean? Mass producing bullshit. And instead of like a Basquiat or a Da Vinci would do is take his time, say like, "Yo, I got like 30 pieces I've done in my life. 30 to 50, 100 max. If you find them, or it's valuable. It's gonna be a pretty penny, but that's all I've done because they were all masterpieces. I ain't need 1,000 pieces. I had 100, but they were all better than your 1,000.
I will say this though, one thing that might come, like something good that might come out of it is the fact of like, let's say you do have someone that's like a Da Vinci of digital art, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone who only creates a few pieces, like it's rare, but
Right.
it's crazy good. If they do go ahead and sell that, whatever it may be, for a lot of money, right? Like let's say there's collectors and stuff that come from digital like paintings or digital art, whatever collectible it may be at the time, trading card.
Right.
You create that, you sell it for a lot, you're getting that money, but you can set it up where you still get residuals every time, like percentage based off of every time it's resold too.
Right, but you have to instead have value to be able to get that type of deal.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
well,
it's not like somebody's gonna be like, yeah.
no, there's an option you can set up on there when you create it.
Okay.
Like
I thought you meant
no,
like
no,
whenever you like
no.
sell it to somebody, they're like, okay, I'll give you this and this and this. I'm like, yeah, that's only have like
Like
You
you
or
could,
something.
like some of the I
Talking
guess
about, like, on
networks that
the-
have it.
on
Yeah,
the, like,
when
the
you're
n-
creating
on
it and when
the
you put it on the
site, I
market,
guess.
there's an option on some
Okay.
of the places that you put it on to where you can receive a certain percentage, like residual, every time it's resold. And the way it keeps track, because the blockchain and the way the blockchain
Right.
works, it keeps track of it. So you're Like if it's a big piece too, you know what I mean? And if it resells for a lot of money again, maybe even more than you sold it for originally,
Right.
you're still gonna like whatever that percentage is, you're still gonna make money off of it.
And see, like, I feel like that's what people like kind of don't understand is like the more you, not that, but like the more that you perfect your craft, the more valuable you. And it's not necessarily like I'm not saying valuable like monetarily. I mean valuable like production value. Actually feeling like you're doing something you want to be doing. Just putting shit out, it's just like a job. You know what I mean? This isn't something you're passionate about. But if you put passion into your work, if you find your craft and be able to master it, bro, nobody be able to take that shit away from you ever. And you'll probably find a way to monetize it. I'm not saying probably like bank on it. I'm saying like let that shit be a hobby for a while. And then find a way to make it a career. There's nobody stopping you but yourself.
Yeah, there's like a clip, like a little comic strip that I saw when I was younger. It was like I think it was like it's funny because there's an Alan Watts, like something taken from Alan Watts' speech, right?
Like
But
a
they made
script almost. Not a script, a scripture. Sorry.
like yeah, a little piece, like, but they made it into a little comic strip, and it was like him talking about hobbies and just do that, perfect your hobby, whatever, get really good at, it, take money. What would you do? Because the whole thing, if you've ever listened to Alan Watts, you've heard this fucking spiel, I guaranteed. It's like if you were to take money out of the equation, what would you do?
Right.
You know what I mean? What's something
If
like
money
that
wasn't a factor
factor?
and you didn't need to provide, then what would you do?
So you do that, work on it, get
Right.
really good, get better, perfect it, and at some point you'll figure out a way to make money out of it.
Right.
Do what you love, and then you'll find a way.
I think it's
Which
like
is
we're so fucking trained as kids and even like young adults like how much money really matters whenever it doesn't exist, and we're just like stuck in this like quandary of like how am I gonna make money as soon as possible whenever we should be wondering how am I gonna be happy as soon as possible because that's what's gonna make money. You know what I mean? Like money come it doesn't grow on trees, but I mean to work for it isn't difficult if you know what you're doing and you have a passion in doing that task. It's not necessarily like guaranteed because of some systems that we have set up, but at the same time, like who the fuck could take your passion away?
exactly. And as I was saying, it's so crazy because we have the power to create the reality we live in, man. And it's just like we accept these rules that play against us.
Right.
Accept so much shit that is like plays against us. It's like we have so much power as people. Like I said, we come together, we create a reality that may not even really be something that's viable, but we say it's true and we give it value, and that's fucking it. Like the dollar bill, like we've said
Right.
before, give it value. And it's crazy because you look all over the world, like Brazil, and I'm sorry because I do say it's crazy a lot because this shit, life in itself is fucking crazy. So get used to me saying that shit.
Crazy man.
It's fucking crazy. But when you look at Brazil or you look at a place like Venezuela, it's just these people have accepted this life because it's the life that they've been, basically forced to believe is what reality is. So now you have to adjust and become accustomed to this reality that someone else has basically forced upon you, and now you're stuck in this bubble. This is what you believe life really is. And that goes for places in poverty. That goes for people born in really super racist, backward ass places, still stuck in the past, you know what I mean? Super Confederate. You grow up, you're in a bubble now. So it's like everyone has agreed and said, this is reality. And what people don't realize is things that seem true to you, you got to step, like we said before, step out of the matrix. You're stuck in a bubble. Most of us are stuck in a bubble due to where we've grown up around, the people we've grown up around, the things we see. And now with social media, fucking Fox News, you got Facebook, you have Twitter. We get stuck in these bubbles. We get stuck in these stereotypes. We get stuck in this life that we think is a reality because that's what we're constantly seeing. That's what we constantly think is true. And instead, we're not focusing on like, okay, what reality can we create? How can we create this reality? Because what do most of us want? We want to live a luxurious life. We want to be happy. We want to be successful. And no, I'm going on a long spiel, but
No, you're good.
there was this, like that app, I think you retweeted it because I posted it. It was the one where it's like every dollar you spend.
Oh, that shit's dope.
The idea where like you get a little piece.
Grifter or
Gri-
gifter,
Griffin.
Griffin.
We're like,
There you
yeah, dude. But essentially, I don't know how like
Essentially, what it was is every dollar you spend at that company, you get like $1 in stock type shit.
Yeah, so I don't know how secure that is, and I
I
don't
don't
know,
know
like,
how
I
secure
think it
it
might
is,
be a
man.
percentage of the stock, but, like, essentially the
Whatever.
idea is there, you know what I mean? And stuff like that is what's gonna help people, like, start to make money and, like, really bring people together. There was this also this other idea uh from this book I was reading, essentially, like, so with, like, fossil emissions and stuff like that, like oil, like all the shit that pollutes the air, right? So basically, this bill that they were trying to sign, like some people were trying to sign, like these progressives, it didn't go through. People suck. Like essentially, like you would start to like constrict some of the availability of like the amount that people are like available to put out, the emissions they're available to put out, and like stuff they're available to dump, and like over a course of years, it would just get smaller and smaller, right? And then the extra money based off of that they had made, like from like the amount that they're getting smaller and smaller, it would take a percentage of like the money cut off of that, and then that money would go back to all the Americans because you would be owning a piece of like clean air. So we would all eventually like own a piece, like we would own the air, like you know what I'm saying? Like we should be, we should have the availability of clean air, is what it was saying. You know what I'm saying? And you would get the money back from cleaning up the air essentially. So it's like we deserve clean air, and the Americans deserve at least a share of what's cleaning up the air. So like they would restrict these companies, and the companies that are like we're making money off of like these emissions and shit like that are basically paying the people back for the shitty air.
Sounds good on paper, but it
Yeah.
seems pretty.
I don't know. I mean,
We
I can
own the air.
not like you own the air. Okay, I get that sounds stupid, but essentially like we have the right to clean air.
I understand.
We have the right to like
Just the way you
prosperity.
worded that, I was
It
like,
did sound stupid. Okay, I'll give you that. Whatever. We
I don't
have
know
the
if we
right.
should own.
We have the right to like a prosperous life, and it's
Fucking in your like last will and testament, I passed down my 3/4 share of that that this longitude latitude of clean air. This is my air.
but it's like if we have the right to clean air, why are we letting these companies fucking just shit in our air?
And
And
we shit in our air. You drive a car, don't you?
yeah,
I mean, let's just
that's
be real with
true. I
ourselves.
mean, we're getting closer to not, but
Yeah, but I mean, going back to what you said about like being stuck in a box and like kind of understanding that you have like the power of your own reality is goes back to the Adjustment Bureau. Like, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm gonna spoil it right now. Essentially, what it is like a politician and a dancer. They meet by chance and kind of love at first sight almost. So, politician is trying to do all that he can to find her again, trying to do all that he can to into her again. Lost her number. No. He didn't get her number. He only got her first name. So finally, by chance again, he sees her on a bus. Gets to talking, gets her number. Then this group of people kind of take him out of his own reality and let him peek behind a curtain necessarily that he was never supposed to see behind, which is this bureau of people who adjust people's reality. Saying like, oh, well, we like he asked him, he's like, are you guys angels or demons? He said, I mean, not really. We're you could call us that. We've been called that, but really, what we are is we just hear that everything goes according to plan. So they have this book that kind of tells every person's plan on page is a different person, and what they're doing and where they're going and where that is going to lead them to. Help their what their job is to help adjust them to get to the right path. If they spilled their coffee on themselves, if they missed the bus, if they did this, it was all tactically on purpose due to this adjustment bureau making sure that that happened so they weren't here in this spot while they were doing. So essentially what I'm getting to is that like by the end of the movie, the politician is doing all that he can to break through this cycle that they've shown before him. This is your path, and if you don't go on this path, it's gonna be destruction for you and her type shit and the dancer. And he's telling them, nah, like if it was part of the plan, then why did I see her 2 times? That was chance. Oh, y'all, you don't have nothing to answer me. Oh, and he understood at that point. He was like, y'all don't even know why this is part of the plan. So that's what I'm talking about. Is like people don't even really know why they're constricting you into the reality that you aren't in. You know what I mean? We're entrained as kids to be put in a box, and you're not in a box, but people don't even know why they're putting you in a box. If that makes sense.
It's just this is what I'm told.
They are
This is
just
what
so
I know.
exactly.
This is what I know.
It's bigger than me. I have to do this. It's the same reason teachers tell kids like you're not gonna get away with this on the next year, or you're not gonna get away with this in college, or you're not gonna get through college if you act like this. It's like you're only telling me that not because you believe it, not because you even think it, but because you didn't, but because you saw other people that didn't. You don't know anything about me. You don't even care about me. You just want me to listen to you, so I do what you say when you're in your job getting paid. And that's not how education should work at all. And so what I'm trying to say is that whenever you getting put in this box, it's up to you to say, fuck that box. It's up to you to say, nah, I know what's going on. And it may sometimes you don't, but you take those L's as they come. But if you have something that you believe in, you gotta take those L's. You gotta take those L's because that's the only way to get out that box. You gotta take those L's. You gotta fall off that cliff, and you gotta learn how to get right back up and climb that shit again. And that's cool. It's not cool. It shouldn't be that hard for you to live your life passionately, but it's cool because everybody has to go through that. Not everybody, but everybody has something they gotta go through, and everybody has that struggle that they either overcome or let kill them. Either you or me. Ain't gonna be me. Let's just be real.
Tough way to put it. But I understand. Yeah, I understand where you're going. Especially, good way to put it. Everyone says like most of the time we have these rose. What is it? The
Rose-colored glasses.
That we all look through. We see it in the way that we want to see it. But the fact is, taking those off is a rough, rude awakening. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit. So it's not what I thought this was all fuck.
Right.
There's a lot more going on here than I thought. And facing that reality of what it really is, what you really are, what people really are, that's a tough one. And to understand, like, life isn't always what you've been told or what you think it is. It's like there's a whole, like I said, we can really create anything. I could say, I believe rhinoceroses are the fucking chosen one. And if I got enough people to believe that, at some point that may become a reality that exists. And you can say that's stupid. Yeah, but you also believe that there's a talking man. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying, listen, you believe there's a talking man in the sky no one's ever seen, or some random person said that they've seen years ago. You've never seen them. You have no idea what's going on, so you just randomly believing in some random shit.
You don't even have to go far. Talk about flat earthers. All right, bro. Like, where does this belief come from? You know what I mean? And it's just like whenever you like get into like the depths of people's beliefs, those beliefs are just as ridiculous as anything you could come up with. Whenever you understand that, oh, so this whole religion is about peace, love, and unity, but more people have been killed in the name of Christ than anything else in the fucking universe? Oh, no, shit. Thought I knew what was going on here, but it seems that you are like.
And then people try to push that to the side and act like that's like, but
but you gotta understand they didn't want to believe in the way of God. It's like they didn't get to live their lives, like they were killed in the name of God because they said, "Nah, I'm not with that."
Or it's like
that's where we're at. That's acceptable to you, type shit. Like, what if I told you couldn't wear fucking blue anymore? I'll kill you. You know what I mean? Like. You gotta throw out all your jeans, fucking throw out every fucking colored blue shirt you have, even a little dot of fucking logos and shit. It's like, what the fuck is that?
I know I'm gonna be an asshole for saying this, but it's just like, once again, Christianity was born in Jesus was a real person. It's been dated, but during like the Roman Empire, literally they had like paganism, and then they had like was it polytheism, where they believed in multiple gods, and a lot of those were like stricter, right? Someone just was like, Christianity wasn't even popular. Like, it was like a smaller group of people, but then people realized they can get away with more shit in Christianity. So at the time, it was just the best option for most people to go with. They're like, oh, I can wear almost whatever I want. God forgives my sins, and I don't have to go to hell for not doing this.
Sounds like a plan.
Yo, that's way better than this shit. Like, they hate me if I wear a fucking cotton.
I gotta pray 7 times a day. I gotta fucking, like, I don't have any type of ability to do anything I want. I have to listen to this guy over here because he says he fucking knows with the way of God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fuck all that noise. I'm going over here
That's
where I
a-
can do whatever I want. Fucking just say, hey, God, do you forgive me?
And a bunch of people.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people in, like that are like Christian do so much like fucked up shit because they are given this like token of like, oh, all you have to do is pray for your forgiveness and you'll be fine. It's like, wait, for real? Like that's what y'all believe? Is that like you could be like they even have like, isn't it something like anointed of the sick where like if you, isn't it like told that like if you're a criminal all your life and you have a fucking priest come to your deathbed and like pray for you that you could still have like go to heaven or something like
If
that?
you confess all your sins, you pray for all your sins, you have a priest in the final hours, then you will be forgiven of everything in that moment.
You fucking kidding me?
It's like, what's the
You
point?
can be a serial killer and on your deathbed you can say, I'm sorry for killing all those people and go to heaven. Are we serious? Like, you know what I mean? Like I just want to know what's going on here.
Where are morals lie here? Where's good and bad? It doesn't exist
And
at that
even
point.
if you want to say like murder is one of the 7 deathly sins. All right, cool. So let's talk about a different criminal. How about somebody that commits fraud all their life? They hoed people out of millions and millions and millions of dollars, put people through poverty because they were selfish. All they have to do is say sorry, and they get to go party in heaven? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. I just don't.
We're all humans who make mistakes, and we're all able to be forgiven because we all are children of the divine.
That's another thing. It's like if the divine plan was like a, how do people?
All part of the plan. Just stick with the plan. Just trust in the plan. I'll trust in my own plan, like that everything will work out because I'm capable of what I am. But like, trust.
I'll trust in my ability to work some shit out. But like this divine plan you speak of, I don't know if I'm with that.
There's a lot of shit going on out there. If this is the divine plan,
And if this is the divine plan, then I should have like a yacht and fucking some other shit because I mean I see some people that don't deserve that shit rocking it. So I mean I don't know what's going on here.
there's people getting bombed and people starving.
There's kids in cages. There's fucking.
There's people that are literally. There's towns run by gangs and the gangs get away with whatever they want because the government is just
on their payroll.
Not even just that. The government is nowhere to be found because they're only worried about making money with other fucking shit.
They're corrupt.
So the gangs are the only people that are really giving the community anything,
Yeah.
but they're also menaces to their own community.
Right.
Divine plan my ass.
Like
It's like, it better get better real soon because shit's not looking too great.
like we've complained about like our healthcare system being in the hands of our fucking like employers and shit. Like think about your healthcare system being in the hands of a fucking mafia or a mob or like a cartel or something like that. Fuck. I can't go to a doctor. Fucking I haven't sold my coke yet.
You know, it's like, shit. It's like, you pay what you had to this past week? No, not yet.
But I'm really sick. Can I go to? Fuck you.
Yeah, the life we live, man. All right, I think we could wrap it up right about there. Remember, we have the power to do what we want. Come together to do good things. Don't be an asshole. Will you have anything for the people?
Remember that if somebody randomly comes and offers you drugs, that's because drugs are expensive.
Oh my God! Hey,
I'm
check
just
us.
kidding.
Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. It's Finish From Far on still both of those.
We're working on it.
Yeah, so Twitter, Instagram. Mine's Radu Dandy on Twitter. Radu Dandy on TikTok. We're gonna have some videos when we have guests. We'll be doing like insights, little questions,
Little minis.
little fun stuff to kind of keep everyone engaged. So check us out on there.
And everybody have a good week.
Y'all have a good one. Thank you for tuning in to another episode.
Of Fun and Dandy.
Catch us next week.
Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you.